Like, why don't you have money? Like, why don't you? Because how are you gonna know when it's balanced if you don't have some toxicity thrown in the mix? I need $40. Like, you don't really have that much to say. You don't have that much going on. Is this character based on being ugly? Like, does he? Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about the video that I'm doing today. I have been wanting to do a video like this for a while. I wanted to do a video about like dating in your 20s, and I wanted to do a video about dating in Atlanta specifically. So I figured that I would just combine the two because according to my Instagram, you guys definitely want to know some of the myths, some of the things that are true, some of the things that are false about dating in Atlanta. But a lot of you guys were just asking general dating questions. So grab your wine and we're gonna get into this topic because I feel like dating is such a hot topic right now, but I still feel like there's no answers. I feel like there's not really no one's really answering no questions. Okay, so we're gonna answer some questions today and bust these myths and give you some advice at the end, so make sure you stay to the end. Well, first things first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this, okay? So how I'm gonna do this video is I am going to say a statement and then I'm gonna tell you whether I think it is cap, a myth, or a fact. So the first statement is, a man having money is the most important thing, or a man needs to have money to be considered like dateable. I'm gonna say it's both, okay? It's both. Number one, okay, this is how I view money, right? Money is a product of consistency. Money is a product of consistently adding value, right? Whether that's like a service, whether that's a product, whether that's a skill, a man having money, or really anyone having money, should be a, because I know that making money isn't necessarily exactly how it used to be, where you had to have like a certain skill, but I think that being able to set a desk, being able to do whatever it is that you do to make money is a certain type of skill set. It doesn't necessarily all require the same type of skills or the same amount of skill, but it does require something that you have to do like consistently. It does show in men that they have a certain level of consistency, they have a certain level of discipline. So it shows that they have character if they can make money, right? But hear me out, okay? Hear me out. And this is about dating in your 20s. This is not dating in your 30s. This is not dating in your 40s. This is dating in your 20s. So I'm going to assume that if you're in your 20s, you are dating men that are also in their 20s, maybe early 30s. But I'm gonna talk about that later, about this whole dating older men thing. I have met, quite a few men with money. And whatever you think that money is, to me, having money means they're able to take care of themselves and maybe another person, right? So you're just above taking care of yourself, meaning if you wanted to have, date someone seriously, have a wife, or if you have a kid or something like that, you could take care of yourself and one other person. To me, that's having money. Whatever level you consider, someone taking care of somebody else, that's on you. I'm not gonna give you guys my definitions, because we're all very different. What I will say is that having money is not as important as having a good character. If you're in your 20s dating and the guys that you are meeting don't necessarily have enough money to take care of another person, don't pass on them. Hear me out. Don't necessarily pass on them only because they may not have that much money right then, okay? I think girls fumble a lot of bags because we don't pay attention to the actual character of the guy we're dealing with. See, while I said that money is definitely, a product of consistency, you have to realize that everyone's journey is a little bit different. And just because they don't have money at this very moment doesn't mean they're not gonna have money in the future. As long as they have certain things going for them, I think that these type of men are still valuable and still dateable, even if they don't have a lot of money. Hear me out. Okay, you wanna look at discipline. Does he have a schedule that he goes by, every day? You wanna look at, does he go to the gym? Does he take care of himself? Does he care about his health, okay? You wanna look at, You know, does he talk about his vision, his purpose, what he wants to do, like the type of business he may want to have, the type of career he wants to have, whatever. Like, what does he talk about? If he only, like, even if he has money and he only talks about like going out, partying, doing drugs, dealing with women, he never has anything constructive to add to your life. Just because he has money, that doesn't mean that means he's really invaluable, because he's not really focused on the long term. And anybody that's not focused on the long term, child, is not, to me, if they don't consider the long term, that's not the type of person that I want to be around. I think it's a myth that if you are dating in your 20s, if a man doesn't have money, then he's undateable. I don't agree with that. I think that if you're in your 20s and you're dating other people in their 20s, you need to focus more on, and I hate to say potential, because I don't think it's potential. I think when someone actually has these values, it's not just potential, it's just he's still being consistent. If you see those characteristics in someone, do not write them off, okay? Man or woman, that's crazy. And I think a lot of us young people in our 20s, we didn't listen to our parents when, you know, they told us these things, and we end up getting out here and dating people based on the look, or dating people based on, you know, the initial vibe and everything. But then you start to get to know them and you're like, you don't really have that much to say. You don't have that much going on. So on to the next myth. Let's bust it. This one is so crazy that we used to believe this. Like, to this day, I feel some type of way about this one, because it speaks to the way that society projects characteristics onto people just based on how they look. And I don't like that. I don't like that. Ugly/medium ugly dudes treat you better in a relationship, or they're better people to date. Yeah, ugly to medium ugly dudes treat you better, right? I think that is cap. That is cap. If a guy is ugly to medium ugly, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to treat you better, or he has a better character. It just doesn't mean that. Again, what is his character based on? Like, is his character based on being ugly? Like, does he feel like he's ugly so he has to be extra nice? Is that the type of person that you want to date? You want to date someone who's inauthentic to how they really feel, so they just act nice? This is why I don't like the word nice, because I like the word kind, because nice implies that there's like some type of like forced energy. I feel like being kind is genuine. Like, when you, like, I don't necessarily have to be nice to be kind. You feel what I'm saying? This whole idea that ugly/medium ugly men treat you better is crazy, because you're basically saying that people who look good, people who are radiant, people who you're attracted to, automatically are going to do you dirty. Like, why would you think that? What would make someone think that? If someone is attractive to you, like if you look at someone, you're like, wow, that person is so attractive. That means they're magnetic. That means they're pulling you towards them. If a person is repulsive to you, why would you go towards someone who is repulsive to you? And I do feel like a lot of us get caught up in this narrative because, you know, we get told that it's shallow to judge someone by how they look. Cap. It's cap. Because it's shallow if you only judge someone for how they look. But it's not shallow to judge how somebody looks, okay? It's not shallow to judge how somebody carries themselves. It's not shallow to judge how, you know, your first impression of a person. The first impressions are everything. So if you come across a guy or you come across a girl and they're just dusty and unattractive and you're just repulsed by them, and then you pursue them anyway, it's like, what does that say about you? What I've seen people talk about, like dating ugly or unattractive people, like why it's like something that you should do, is because it's like this person is going to be overly grateful to like be around you because they have low self-esteem. And I'm like, why would you want your partner to have low self-esteem? Like, why would you want to be someone who moves in a way that you know that they're doing this because they have low self-esteem? Like, wouldn't you feel better about yourself if the person that you were next to and having sex with and having a relationship with and being intimate with was doing it from like an authentic space and from a space of wholeness? Like, would that not make you feel better about yourself? Like, people who are considered medium ugly or like ugly and stuff like this, and then people who are considered attractive, I just think that, of course, you can't change this. Well, you can change your face, child. You can definitely change your face now. but I would just say that the way someone like views you is truly based on like your radiance. Like, it's based on your magnetism. It's based on, you know, the sensual aspects, how you smell, how you feel around that person, like how this person energetically feels. Because what I will say is that women who have, like, some women who genuinely end up with someone who maybe you may not seem like think is attractive, and she's just so drawn to him, she doesn't think he's ugly. I'm talking about the people who just target people who they consider unattractive and, you know, target being in a relationship with them. I think that's weird. I think it's cap. And just because somebody is ugly doesn't mean they're gonna give you a better relationship, okay? You're gonna get a good relationship based on having similar values, being compatible, having chemistry, having a connection. Those are the things you should be worried about. If you're dating someone because they're ugly and you know that they're ugly and you're not attracted to them, you're gonna be more likely to treat them bad because you feel like you have one up on them. Like, you feel like you're better than them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you innately, like, it's weird. It actually shows an insecurity within yourself if you could date someone simply because you feel like you're more attracted to them. Like that, I don't know, that's weird. Comment below. Okay, so next I'm gonna answer an assumption that you guys have about dating in Atlanta, okay? So people tend to think that most men in Atlanta are like toxic, okay? And I do have my opinions on this whole idea of like toxicity. First of all, we're all toxic. All of us are toxic. All of us. Now, to varying degrees, of course. And I would also say that we're all like good. We all have some goodness. We all have potential. We all have, you know what I'm saying, some positive aspects. We all have dark and light sides. That's just the reality of life. Just get used to it. Not everybody is going to be amazing all the time, and when you suppress the side of you that is unfavorable, it's like you can't get past it. So this whole idea that most men in Atlanta are toxic, and I will say that most people in Atlanta are toxic, okay? Most people are toxic in Atlanta, and let me tell you why. Atlanta is a very materialistic city, and it's one of those places where most people come to, you know, accelerate their businesses. They come to have a higher standard of living. You know, they come to network. They come to have more opportunity in every industry as well. So it's not just like the entertainment industry. It's tech. It's everywhere. So because Atlanta is one of these places, okay, you tend to have an overly materialistic culture because people are getting to the bag here. That's the main focus. People are getting to the bag. And because that's the main focus, most people when they're outside dealing with each other in these like intimate settings, going on dates, meeting people, networking, especially people who are either, I would say especially people who are like out of towners and they come here, or they're not necessarily like mixed in with like the real genuine culture of the city, you know, you will find that you're gonna be making shallow connections. And so I think everyone is toxic because most people are so focused on the bag, they're not necessarily here to start a family. That's not really the vibe of the city. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in the suburbs, but in the city, when you're living in Buckhead, when you're living like in Midtown, when you're going out downtown and you're having all these different dating experiences, it can come off toxic just because I don't think people are relationship oriented down here. People are not relationship oriented just in your 20s, you know, getting your stuff together. It's just not that type of vibe. And I guess you could consider that toxic because, you know, too much of anything is toxic. So when you have too much of materialism, when you have too much of focusing on getting the bag, when you have too much of, you know, comparison, you know, one person, you gotta make sure you got the nicest car, you gotta make sure you got the designer, you gotta make sure you got everything. It can create a toxic environment. There's nothing wrong with competition, but a crazy amount of it can be toxic. You know what I'm saying? I will also say that not only have I heard that a lot of men in Atlanta are toxic, I have heard that a lot of women in Atlanta are toxic. Like, I have been on quite a few dates here. So, you know, I always like to talk about people's experience with dating in the city. And a lot of guys say that, you know, the women are going on dates and asking like for money on the first date, asking for money right before the first date. And I mean like just blatantly asking, like not like just like, I need $40. Like, when did we start doing that? When was that? So I say all that to say that dating in Atlanta is toxic, period. It's just it's toxic because we're all out here trying to get to the bag. We're all out here just young, trying to make these meaningful connections, but at the same time so focused on elevating. It just, you know, it breeds a certain level of competition and toxicity. I feel like it's toxic, but it's also not toxic. And here's why I think it's not toxic. Because that is just the world we're growing up in right now, okay? Especially when you're in a competitive city like Atlanta, and especially in the social media age. You know, a lot of us, we're on social media, we're seeing people elevate, we're seeing people start businesses, everyone, like, especially here in Atlanta, Black people are starting businesses like crazy. Everyone has something going on, everyone has a startup, everyone has a business, everybody has a hustle, everybody has something, whether you're doing hair, doing lashes, you know, having a tech business, coding, what else? A mobile car wash. It's just so many things you can do here and make money. It's crazy. Like when I'll be having money stuff, I'll be like, I'm not doing enough. Like, how are you? Like, you can't be broken. It's just so many things that you can do to make money here. As a result of that, people are becoming more materialistic. Because what I will say about people who are successful is that they don't really see a reason why you can't be successful. It's like, if I'm successful, well, why? If I got out the mud, why can't you get out the mud? So like, why don't you have money? Like, why can't you take me on a nice date? Why can't you take me, you know, here? Like, so it's like, I get it, but it's like, I don't know. It definitely affects you. It definitely affects dating, because dating is not all about money. You know, dating is about character, it's about connection. Like I said earlier, it's about commonalities. You know, it's also about finding someone you can evolve with. So you may not have a lot of the same characteristics, or you come from the same background, but if you have the same vision or a similar vision where you guys can like grow together and evolve together, you can make it work. But a lot of people are so focused on the bag, like they're not even thinking about any of that extra stuff. So that's how I feel about that. Now back to just dating in your 20s. Okay, this one's really interesting. So a lot of people tend to think that toxic sex is the best sex, and I'm gonna tell you how I feel about that, like right now. That's a fact. That's a fact! But it's not for the reason that you think. It's not for the reason that you think. Listen, it's not because of the fact that it's toxic, okay? Let me break it down for you so you can understand why I'm saying this. Because don't get it twisted. Toxicity is toxicity, period. But obviously, in order to have a balanced life, you have to have some toxicity thrown in there. Because how are you gonna know when it's balanced if you don't have some toxicity thrown in the mix? Okay, number one. But number two, it's not necessarily the toxic part of the relationship that's making you have the better sex. Okay, let me tell you what's making you have the better sex. What's making you have the better sex is the fluctuation of energy. It's like the push and pull effect. It's the polarity. It's the magnetism. You have like emotional ups and downs. Like say, you know, you got like, there's just certain things that aren't necessarily clicking, but in other spaces it's clicking for real. So you're like this with most things, but then some things it's just like, you can't seem to get it right. That push and pull, that polarity, that back and forth, that is what makes the sex good. And the reason why that makes the sex good is because there's a level of passion there. Because when you can persevere through, you know, not being the same person, basically, when you could like coexist with someone and enjoy their ups and downs, when you can enjoy the level of evolution that they go through every day, when you can just accept them as a human, when you can be accepted as a human, so when you experience authenticity and you can allow someone else to be authentic, that is where the better sex comes in. And that's why people think that toxic relationships have better sex, because typically in those toxic relationships, it's just a bunch of shit on the table. It's a bunch of shit. It's just a bunch of bullshit on the table, and you're just having to face it. And that is what makes it so invigorating. That's what makes the sex so electric, okay? It's the friction. Friction can create electricity. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever rubbed on something and then, you know, you tap something else and it like shocks you? Like, That is what people mean by toxic sex. That little shock, that's the toxic sex. Like, dang, like, that hurt. But at the same time, like, it's like the sexual aspect of it, because you're experiencing intimacy, because you are bonding with someone, because you're having physical pleasure with someone, that's also like the glue. So what I would say is if you feel like you are having like toxic sex with someone, right? You just can't leave them alone. You're just having like, it's just, y'all just bond on the sex, okay? If you have that much sexual chemistry with someone, I would say that you guys need to have a conversation about the relationship. And I say that to say because a lot of people always like put good sex in the category of a sneaky link. And I just don't think that's true, because most people who are having amazing sex with their sneaky links, they're catching feelings for their sneaky links because they're attracted to their sneaky links. And this is what goes on with what I was saying earlier. People try to attach this fear-based thinking to dating someone who you're actually attracted to. And trust me, I know, because I had been caught up in that programming as well. But there is no shame in dating someone who you are sexually attracted to. That is actually where you should be going. You, just like people say, follow your heart. Just like people say, follow what feels good. Just like people say, follow your intuition. You need to follow what you're sexually attracted to. You need to follow what pulls you, what feels good and what pulls you. It's just you have to also have discernment to understand, like, okay, does this person like me? Does this person respect me? The way this person triggers me, like, are they triggering me because they hate me? Are they triggering me because they love me? Because there is a difference between triggers because you need to be triggered because you need to change or you need to address something, and then triggers because someone is just trying to poke at you and just, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference. So that's how I feel about the whole toxic sex idea. I feel like, honestly, and this leads to my next myth. So let's go ahead and move to the next myth, because I feel like I'm gonna get ahead of myself. So the next myth is that casual sex equals sexual liberation. And that could not be more cap. Okay, number one, because that's a generalization. Just sexual liberation for you or for me does not necessarily equal sexual liberation for somebody else. Absolutely not. Like, we're all so different. I feel like this idea of casual sex, right, in your 20s, especially like when you're in college and everyone's just trying to freak off and just be nasty, just nasty. I'm not saying I did it, but y'all was doing it, y'all was nasty. I feel like, this whole casual sex thing that's been kind of coming with our generation, like us 90s babies and 2000 babies and beyond. Like, I just feel like this casual sex phenomenon is getting out of hand, because you can't say that casual sex is liberating on its own. You know what's liberating? Self-awareness. Self-awareness is liberating. Sure, engaging in sex and being a little bit more free about sex and being a little bit more open-minded about sex can lead to a certain level of sexual liberation, because liberation just means like you're free to be, you're free to feel what you want to feel. Actually, I don't really know the definition of liberation, but you know what liberation means. With freedom comes responsibility, okay? So casual sex denotes this idea where you could just do what you want to do with reckless abandon. But liberation is freedom, but freedom, also comes with responsibility. So they just don't match up. Do you see what I'm saying? Do I make sense? Let me just tell you something, sis. Let me tell you something. Sex changes based on you. So the type of sex that you're experiencing has everything to do with the relationship that you have with yourself, your body, your emotions, your confidence, your self-esteem, your own intimacy with yourself. It has everything to do with these things. That is how you're going to experience sex on the outside. And you don't get those things from external sources, okay? You can affirm those things externally, but you have to get those things based on your own healing and based on your own, self-concept, your idea of your self-worth, your confidence, and all of those things. So that is how you're gonna experience sex. Most people I talk to, the sex they were having in their teens and early 20s is nothing compared to the sex that they had in their late 20s and 30s and etc. Women don't reach their sexual peak until their 40s. Let that sink in, sis. So that trash sex you've been having, you just having it just to have it, just stop it and wait a second. And I'm not saying you gotta wait till your 40s. What I'm saying is that as you get older, you develop a different type of relationship with your body. Your body actually is developing over time. Give yourself some time to develop your brain, develop your mindset, develop how you feel about your body, how you are in your body. If you're not comfortable with being in your body, if you're not comfortable, even being naked around someone else, why are you having sex? Sex is about connection, and if you don't even feel connected to yourself, why are you having sex? Just saying. I think it's a myth that casual sex leads to sexual liberation. I think knowing yourself, and I think becoming your greatest version, that is real sexual liberation. Debate me in the comments. Period. I'm gonna get into this one last myth, and then we're gonna get into some other stuff, okay? The last myth that I'm gonna get into, because I do have some other myths that I wanna bust, but I feel like they could do for another video. I feel like they're kind of too juicy for this video. Y'all are just getting to know me. I don't want y'all to come for me in the comments. Just get to know me a little bit more and know that I come from a good space, okay? I come from a good space. So let's continue. The whole idea that men don't know what they want. Let me tell you right now, if you believe that you are behind, you're behind in the game, because guess what? Men know exactly what they want. And I'm speaking generally, okay? Obviously, there's gonna be outliers, there's gonna be exceptions. I'm speaking generally. Let me tell you why, ladies. Let me tell you how I know that men be knowing what they want. Men are talked to about sex, relationships, and women way earlier than we are. We're actually more coddled and guarded from that, our parents, I didn't really get a sex talk. I didn't really get a bunch of talks about guys and all that stuff. I got a very this little sprinkle of conversation from my parents, but it wasn't really enough to really know what I wanted. Men get these conversations very early from their fathers, from their uncles, from their mothers. I don't know. It's just, I don't know why. It just is what it is. Men just get these talks way earlier, which is so funny because women actually mature faster than guys, but we end up getting this way later. So men understand what they want because they become very good at compartmentalizing from a very young age, okay? And they have to, and that's just a part of masculinity. That's just a part of being a boy. Being able to compartmentalize is a very masculine trait, right? So being able to say that this goes here, being able to organize, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. Okay, she's wifey, she's kind of like a side ting, she's like a sneaky link, okay, so she's girlfriend, not sure if she's wifey yet, blah, blah, blah. Men are bred to be able to do this. Most men are bred to be able to do this. So this concept that men don't know what they want is not true. It's not the facts. It's cap. It's big cap. Don't let anyone tell you that men don't know what they want, because men know exactly what they want. And you could also just see this play out in regular life. If you don't want to believe me with the dating thing, that you're just sis, men do not know what they want, sis, they don't know what they want, period. Okay, pay attention to the men who maybe didn't wife you, but ended up wifing somebody else. I know that hurts. It's happened to me too, sis. It's happened to me too, trust me. The men who won't wife you, but they'll wife somebody else. How about the fact that, how about the idea that men are expected to have more going at a younger age? How do you think they're able to be, they're able to kind of stand in that? They have to stand in that by being master compartmentalizers and knowing kind of exactly what they're gonna do. Not saying that all their choices are A1, but I am saying that men are mostly bred to be logical and to compartmentalize. If you don't believe me, sis, then this video was not for you. I'm not about to explain to you how this is possible. It just is what it is. This is masculinity. If you guys want me to do a video on masculinity and femininity, let me know. Just know that men are bred to know exactly what they want. They may not understand why they want certain things, but they are bred from a young age to know how to compartmentalize and know how to organize and logicize all these different concepts, especially when it comes to dating, because men are educated on this way earlier than we are. So if he did not wife you, sis, if he's not treating you like you want to be treated, if he's not treating you like, you know, a girlfriend wifey type, or you know what I'm saying, you feel like he's not seeing your value, trust me, that is on purpose. That's on purpose. I promise you, it's on purpose. He's not just like, oh, like, I just need to get him to see that I'm worthy. Don't do that. Don't even think about that. Don't even think about that. If a guy doesn't wife you, or he doesn't make you his girlfriend, or he doesn't commit to you, he doesn't invest in you and stuff like this, keep it pushing and just keep working on yourself. Keep working on who you are. Keep becoming softer, remain soft, remain receptive, remain feminine, or become more feminine, whatever the case is. And trust me, you're gonna attract a masculine man that's going to respect you and value you. I promise you. Trust me, rejection is protection. Just remember that. Rejection is protection every time, honey. Every time. All the time, every time. So let's get into some truths. So since I kind of dissected these myths that you guys have about dating in your 20s, let's get into the facts, okay? I want to talk about the facts and what actually is going on. Like what's the real thing that's going on? Okay, let's get into it. Because you're just like, I mean, sis, okay, you're saying a lot, but like, how do I push forward? How do I date? How do I date in my 20s and not waste my time? Ladies, my number one advice,